and play right into Trump's hands. In an era when victim status is the trump card for those wishing to advance a political agenda, you can count on more insistence that every victim must be believed immediately and alleged perpetrators presumed guilty. And then the president tweeting, Jussie Smollett, what about MAGA and the tens of millions of people you insulted with your racist and dangerous comments? So this is all playing out in a way that might lead to a bigger discussion, Chris.
Yeah, I got to say, I'm not very comfortable with that. I think the people that should be held responsible for these activities are the people who actually did them. I remember when a Trump supporter was sending mail bombs out, and some people wanted to draw some parallels and said, well, this showed something about Trump supporters. No, it showed something about this nut down in Florida. And my feeling is this doesn't show something about victimhood or liberal politics. It shows that there's a very disturbed individual who probably deserves a jail term and certainly should have to pay back all the hundreds of thousands of dollars that Chicago police expended having to prove his hoax. I think, and I want to go to the Democratic politicians too. I think when people try to draw these big political lessons from individual things, let's say it had turned out to be true, it would have said nothing except for the fact that two individuals, two thugs, had beaten up this actor. But it doesn't say something about Trump supporters. It doesn't say something about conservatives. And I think when anybody on the left or the right tries to draw lessons from a crime, they run into danger and they make a mistake. Jussie Smollett is the person who's responsible here, not liberal politics. If it had been true, it would have been the two thugs who did it, not Donald Trump or his supporters.
To start, no one, much less Democrats, support what Jussie Smollett has done, faking an attack by a supposed Trump fan to basically curry sympathy to get a pay raise on his TV show. If anything, Smollett has done a glaring disservice to actual victims of hate crimes in this country, which have been on the rise since Trump has taken office, and to the plight of victims in general who deserve to be believed. Now, Republicans have seized on this story and are doing what they do best, using one anecdote to disprove years of factual evidence by conveniently claiming now that these instances of violence should never reflect on politics. And while Chris Wallace, in his defense, is typically very fair, there's a massive difference between the MAGA bomber and Jussie Smollett. The MAGA bomber was a diehard Trump supporter, drove in a van covered in stickers of the president, attended his rallies, and then sent actual bombs to Trump's most frequent targets. He tried to kill people, to literally blow Democrats up. Jussie Smollett wanted attention. He wanted a pay raise. He did a grave disservice to hate crime victims and deserves every ounce of punishment coming his way. But there's no equivalency between the two. Republicans would love to point to this instance and say, see, let's never draw equivalence between politics and those who commit crimes in their names ever again, because it would be politically convenient. Ann Coulter today tweeted that all hate crimes are hoaxes. And that line of thinking is the ultimate goal of the right, because the facts and statistics show that since Trump took office, the number of hate groups has reached their highest point in American history, and hate crimes have been on the rise for their third straight year, coinciding with the launch of Trump's campaign, with more than 7,100 being reported last year. Not that, you know, he said anything that could be construed as hateful.
When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're not sending you. They're not sending you. They're sending people that have lots of problems. And they're bringing those problems with us. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people.
According to the Anti-Defamation League, far-right terrorists were responsible for almost every extremist-related killing in the US last year. And all of this comes on the heels of a thwarted attack by a Coast Guard lieutenant and self-described white nationalist only days ago, who planned to kill liberal media figures and politicians and quote-unquote establish a white homeland, of a Trump fan attacking a BBC cameraman at a Trump rally, of a neo-Nazi killing Heather Heyer at Charlottesville. These are no longer anecdotal or one-offs or the exception to the rule. They are the rule. So while the Jussie Smollett story is a shameful, stupid act, it is not in the same league as this clear pattern of dangerous attacks and assassination attempts by white nationalists whose rise mirror Trump's, who idolize this president, mimic his rhetoric, and seek to carry out attacks on his most frequent targets. And any attempt to absolve Trump of this blatantly obvious link is just as dangerous as the words that cause these crimes.